the golden reality of the all is. It is here to meet with the golden warriors from the you is, said Gopal as he motioned to Paul and I. I was very surprised as he pointed to me. I was here and in the entire experience, but it was all like such a dream that is real and happening now. Look into the real light, Paul and Dwayne, said Phoebe as he smiled at us with his outward gesture. Suddenly, there began to appear a pair of apparition-like figures in the light. As the images began to clearly present themselves, they became Paul and I. As I looked closely and stared into the light at the two of us, I was rather frozen at what I was seeing. This was so far out. I was seeing myself as a very young being. I was so flawless and real. It was as though it was all too real, something past what I could even consider myself to be. Here I was, a future view, as I was witnessing myself from something other than any consideration I have ever known. I felt a true and real assurance with what was taking place, as with all the experiences I have had like this. Ha, 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 said Rebazar. You are surprised to see the true future, which is now. The outer world has decided what it has and what it wants, and you get to see what is real. Those who agree to the space-time formulas will not see the transparency of all the worldly events as you too can. For Paul and you, this is your reality now, so very real that none but you can see it. The two of you will go out into the world of humans and be so special. All of us stood for the longest time. Then Rebazar motioned for us to enter the center of light. And as we did, there suddenly appeared thousands upon thousands of real universal guides in their light bodies all around us and covering the huge entire area. The images of Paul and I faded as we came near ourselves, and we seemed to take the place of them. We both stood in the light and laughed at the experience. I felt like a young child in the rain. I had been here before, but this is all I wanted. To be in the real light all the time. My dream is to be like the is, pure. After a while, the light faded and the real guides disappeared. Rebazar smiled, and after a few moments, we faded back into the Himalayan scene inside his hut. And he continued, nothing can occupy the same space except two beings. This being true, there is no space in the great beyond, nor do you travel in the vastness of the real universes, because there is no need to do so. In eternity, there are rest points. These rest points are concerned with start, change, and stop of the real you. This is all there is to the nowness of eternity, because time is an illusion. We are always up against the illusion of time in the lower worlds, but not in the real universes of the all is. Living in this world, the real you must have survival of some kind, or you cannot exist here. You would go down into the worlds below and have to work your way up again. So we have rest points in the unseen worlds. Being as there is no space there, you fill the world as does the great reality itself. You must learn to survive through these rest points. You do not travel, but you mock up a cycle of action and observe it as the all is does. This is one of the postulates you have to carry out, or you do not survive in reality. What I mean is, if you wish to have a picture of another section of the universes, you do not need to travel there. All you have to do is just simply observe it. This idea is so simple, and yet it's a mystery to most. Let's say that you are sitting on top of the Empire State Building in your light body, and you want to see San Francisco. Is there any reason to travel there to see what is taking place? No, there isn't. You are a being of everything, the great reality itself. So all you have to do is observe what is taking place from where you are at. You simply decide that you are going to bring the reality of the city to you. If you're able to detach yourself from the mental stream and look into it, you can see all things. You are also to be concerned with another quality known as here-ness. Before, we had isness and now-ness. These are the trinity of the great reality. Isness is the creative moment. Nowness is the present, the preservation of the moment, and here-ness is the present state of life. Isness is not creativity as we know it on this level, but the reality which is knowingness. Hence, I know, I perceive this knowingness, and I live in the present state of knowingness, which is real now. Of course, I am speaking from the end result when I give you the real position to be in. It will take the both of you a lot of real experience to know exactly how to do this. This is what we do. We teach those we can trust and who will safeguard the entrances to the higher levels, because there are very few who are permitted there. A person must have the strongest and most real attitude about all of life, and not just the curiosity most humans have. Nearly all people take things for granted in their own lives and have no real concern for anything else, because most people are far too encumbered with the fear of the unknown. We help strip away the tap lines and all the misconceptions a person has been raised with. To get to the depths of this trinity, I have to get into causation. There is the formulation of the Christian Trinity, which is physical, emotional, mental. Notice their positions are from the earth and then along the lines of the astral and mental realms, where their appointed deities reside. This is their spiritual identity, because they have decided it to be so, because they claim the spiritual idea as theirs, along with the other systems that work with the same means. They have created the limitations to all they have decided. The Hindu Trinity is the forces of nature, which is their spiritual idea. A close examination of the religious cultures of the world will provide proof as to what level of life they are really connected to and who rules over them. The rulers of these systems have made sure that their followers are bound in mental and emotional attachments, so that if they could even consider exploring beyond the illusionary boundaries that have been set up for them, the individual renegade will be bombarded with guilt and other engrams that keep them stuck to the lords of karma. First and foremost, we have the true trinity of the is, which are the qualities denoting the present state of life as it truly is. This, of course, differs from the world religious views which are under the Lord God the Kalam's massive rulers and controllers. With this simple comparison, you can see what the real guides present and teach, which is far beyond the spiritual ideas of man and what so many religions and cults use. We are only concerned with the true reality and the more so position, not mental imaginings and superstition to hold people to certain ideas that do not unfold to anything, but a continuous line of rules and regulations and emotional comfort and discomfort. Real experience and the sound wave have value and continue to expand a person into the real universes of endlessness. Can the religions of the world say this? No, they cannot, because they have no idea what exists beyond their mind and their mind gods. They will flat out deny that any such thing can or does exist, because they do not want people to explore and find out for themselves what is real. And so they will curse you if you try. Their area of drama is always the debating of everything. They decide accordingly, and all else is of their enemy, the devil. The world systems, which I call the rep systems, religious, educational, political, and social, put up with many of the disobediences of their followers and the other non-believers, because they know that if there is a strict adherence to their controlling methods, their followers will retaliate. So they must display a form of compassion to show they understand, so their support will continue. Also, they like to create social and worldwide diversions, which get people into a sympathetic role of conforming to their cause. This is how laws are enacted to justify their dominance. Since we are not dealing with time and space and mental definitions in the upper worlds, then we must work with a set of abstracts founded on experiences based upon the nowness of everything. This is where things become really fun for all of us, because we are in the real light of life and living clean without any attitude of a downward pull. Causation is a matter of starting a cycle of action, because you are always in a creative cycle which starts, changes, and stops with each rest point. The next factor shows us that in the higher upper region, all of us work with free will and never under a mechanical law. Each being is their own positioned reality and need never interfere with another. On this earth world, each one of us carries their own cause with them, and like a shower of rain, each carries their own rainbow. If I change my speed of motion, I create a new cause for myself, just as I step a few spaces into a rainy shower. I acquire a new rainbow for myself. Relativity teaches there is no cause except for defective insight. In other words, not seeing things properly. This is why the earth still has so much turmoil, because there are those who want to control others and nature, instead of looking for an understanding and a new view. Again, the masses are marketed into emotional control and not reality. Causation in the real universes is relative, and here the nature of all things is accuracy and precision. To understand this real position is to more so see past just the literal sense one has been established with. Newness is omitted by the real you to include only that which it is doing, and it doesn't have anything to do with another being. All you tunes are moving in space according to their own pattern but never crashing or interfering with one another, except with the various bodies they carry, which are always outside of them. There is strictly no causal behavior in the upper universes, and therefore the law of karma is not included. These are subjective factors unknown to the minds of men who are still unaware of reality. The subjective factor is not included in any system of reference and cannot be fully deterministic in the control of ignorance phenomena. If we wish to emancipate the material world, we must emancipate the mind also, which is partly made up of what we call self-elements and real particles. Being is not the cause of becoming, because it already is. Causation is one of the categories of thought. A person is not actually born when they come out of the female body, because they do not know then that they are born. You are actually born when you become aware of your birth, when you become aware that you are now. In time and space, we relate to a time and date when we are born. Also astrologically, but the real birth takes place when we first become aware of ourselves as more than just physical, hence self-awareness to start with. It is being aware that makes the difference. The relation of cause and effect is not something found in nature, but is rather a characteristic of the way in which we regard nature with our awareness. The apparent indeterminism of the particle becomes meaningless, and determination of the energy wave has nothing to do with the course of objective nature. This is the way that it works in reality, of course, of objective nature. This is the way that it works in reality, of course. The real you works with particles of reality, the sound, light, wave, and the waves of newness to create a cycle of action for itself. These are actually new wave pictures. The U-tune changes its wave pictures to bring itself to another rest point. There is no destruction of the wave pictures, for they are shared among the millions of beings in this world.